Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome
Walaikum
for today's
assalam.
webinar. Welcome to our EMAS Teacher Training Academy, a global platform dedicated to transforming educators into leaders, innovators, and change makers. For over 5 years, EMAS has been empowering teachers through international standard programs, workshops, and leadership initiatives that blend professional excellence with human values. At EMAS, we believe that true education begins with transformation of mindset, method, and mission. Our academy continues to inspire thousands of teachers to teach with purpose, empathy, and innovation. We also take pride in introducing the Innovators Educators Club, a dynamic community under EMAS that connects passionate educators who strive to bring creativity, collaboration, and 21st century skills into their classrooms. The club serves as a platform for sharing ideas, exploring new teaching strategies, and celebrating innovation in education. Together, EMAS and the Innovators Educators Club are shaping the future of education, one inspired teacher at a time. About our director, Sayeda Afsha Afreen. She is the founder and director of EMAS Teacher Training Academy. She has trained and transformed over 10,000 teachers globally working with leading organizations and universities. The Innovators Educators Club, Learning and Development Club, Smart Parenting Circle, and School Development Program 360 Degree reflect her vision of holistic growth for educators, students, and parents alike. Under her leadership, EMAS continues to empower teachers with the motto Transforming Educators, Transforming Education. Welcome to today's enlightening webinar by Miss Aliya Ahmed. She is a BC CELTA certified educator with over 18 centuries of experience mentoring students in English, mathematics, and science under the Cambridge IGCSE curriculum. With a strong academic background, including an MA in English and an MSc in biotechnology, she is known for her engaging, student centric teaching style that nurtures clarity, curiosity, and critical thinking. Alia has also served as a lecturer at leading Mumbai colleges and contributed to national teacher training initiatives. Her topic is the invisible lessons of a teacher. Over to you, Miss Alia, ma'am.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, just a thumbs up. Maybe a thumbs up will do, or you can just unmute and tell me. So we have Tashkurun and Mohammed Yasin here. So if you can quickly unmute or just a thumbs up or just type in the chat box. Can you all hear me? Okay, that's good. Okay, yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I am genuinely happy to be with you all here today. Okay, and thank you to each and every teacher present over here because you've taken your time out from your busy schedules and it really means a lot. It means that you people are already motivated and to learn new things, right? So before we begin with the session, I want you to write a word in the chat box that describes how teaching feels for you these days. So we'll just begin with a quick question. If you can tell me, how does teaching feels for you these days? What is teaching to you? You can unmute or you can type in the chat box. So how does it feel to be a teacher? Yes. Do we have messages here? Can you all type in the chat box? or you can simply unmute and just share how is teaching with you all. Yes, Tashkurun, would you like to unmute and tell how is teaching for you? How do you feel like being a teacher these days? Yeah. See, I need you all to type, to write. Okay, fine. All right. So if they cannot unmute, probably you can just write in the chat box. Okay. So, see, today's session is not going to be a very theory based, a very heavy theory based session. It's just going to be those tiny classroom moments which we live every day. And before we talk about any life skill strategies or classroom management, I want you to take you somewhere very quick. Okay. Go to the time when you were a student, like, when you were in grade 5. Do you remember what percentage did you score when you were in grade 5 or maybe grade 6? If you really remember your percentage, you can type in the chat box. You can simply share if you remember the percentage. Yeah. Okay, fine. So, and if I ask you, if I just twist the question a bit, and if I ask you that, how many of you remember a teacher who encouraged you, who simply believed in you, who stood by you, or rather, like, maybe a teacher who just embarrassed you? So, do you remember any teacher who did that with you? Because you have been teaching for so many years, and when I meet my students after maybe, like, 3 to 4 years, when I just happen to meet them, so what they remember is not the worksheet that I provided them, or, like, the lesson plan that I discussed with them. What truly matters is how we believed in them, and how we listened to them when they had any problems, when they had any issues, how patiently we dealt with them. Okay, so today's session is going to be all about learning the invisible lessons of a teacher. So I hope I am sharing the screen. I hope you're able to see it. I, so here it is. And if you can just see the screen, maybe again you can give a thumbs up, or you can just react. We have that in the chat box, or probably we just have that reaction. So the emoji, you can do that, because today we are going to discuss about the lessons that stay after the syllabus is forgotten. So long after the syllabus is forgotten and the mark sheets, they are lost, what stays with us is how someone made us feel, how someone made us feel in the classroom, right? So, when I was in my CELTA teacher training, our teachers used to tell us that you wear a thinking cap, a thinking cap wherein you are no more a teacher. You're not going to think from a teacher's perspective, but you're going to think from a student's perspective. So, right now, I want you all to wear that thinking cap, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions, or rather, I'm just going to show you a list. So, you have to look at the list of the qualities and skills that a teacher might have. And as a student, so right now, you're not thinking from a student's perspective, you're not thinking from a teacher's perspective, you're thinking from a student's perspective. Which do you think often rate in the top 3? So these are certain qualities and skills a teacher might have. You have to think from the student's perspective. If you are a student, what do you want from a teacher? So again, you can just have a look. You can just simply write the letters in the chat box. So these are the qualities that a student is listening, a student wants from a teacher. So, for example, if I am a student, I would look for someone who's very calm and patient with me, someone who inspires confidence in me, and someone who has a very good sense of humor, because these are the qualities I would want my teacher to have. So for me, it is definitely going to be A, D, and F. So these are the qualities. Now let us switch the role. Let us switch the role. And now, from a teacher's perspective, now let us behave. Now we are teachers. Now we are back teachers. Now you look at the list of these qualities and tell me, do you really provide these qualities to your students as a teacher? You look at these qualities and you ask yourself that, do you really provide those three qualities? If you're a good teacher, do you really provide it? Is what you have to think about. If you think that being a teacher, you provide all those qualities, that itself means that you're doing an amazing job. You're doing a wonderful job and you're a very good teacher. So again, these are the qualities. Just the question has changed, whether you provide these qualities to your students as a teacher. So the qualities here that we're discussing about, these qualities are actually nothing but the life skills that we are teaching them in our day-to-day life. So when I say that a teacher has a good sense of humor, so when we say a teacher has a good sense of humor, it means that the teacher is teaching resilience to the child. What do you mean by resilience now? So resilience is something wherein the ability to not give up. You're not going to give up over here. The capacity to recover from difficulties. So if I have a good sense of humor, I'm teaching my students how to overcome difficulties, how to fight with any problems. If if I'm approachable as a teacher, this means that the life skills that I'm going to teach my students is communication. I'm going to focus on the communication skills. If the teacher listens well and empathizes with the learners, this means that I'm teaching empathy. I'm teaching them the pain, the feeling of sympathy, the feeling of empathy, understanding the feelings. This builds emotional awareness, and you are able to communicate with your teacher freely. If you trust your learner, if the quality that you trust your learner and inspire confidence, this teaches responsibility, the self regulation part. This is something which is very important, because here is where, like, you are trusting learners to help them to take ownership of their learning. If the teacher is calm and patient, what does that mean? The teacher is teaching you self regulation. The life skills that you're learning over here is self regulation, because a calm response teacher, so if anything goes wrong, and if your response is very calm, a calm response teacher learners often learns how to manage emotions under pressure. If you give clear feedback, clear information and feedback, the life skill that I'm going to teach my kids is going to be clarity, the clarity of my thoughts. If I pace the lessons to match the learners, I am teaching them self awareness, self belongingness, the self awareness, because here the learners are learning their own needs and limit. If the teacher is methodological and is well organized, I'm going to teach organization, punctuality, how to handle situations. That is the life skill that I'm going to teach my kids. And if the teacher is always learning and developing, this means that I'm teaching my kids growth and motivation. So the quality of a teacher ultimately defines the life skills that we have. Now, a very basic question to you all. Is there anything that has ever gone wrong in your classroom? Because, many a times when you're learning, your lesson plan is perfect, everything is top notch, everything is up to the mark. But, a student forgets to get a notebook, or probably, like, a student just interferes, keeps on interfering in your session, in your class. There is a disagreement, there's a fight between students. So these are all the mishaps, these are all the disruptions that happens in the classroom. So I'm sure many of the teachers must have felt these type of disruptions that happens in the classroom. If you've really felt any of those, or anything that's ever gone wrong in your classroom, the projector is not working or anything like that, you can type oops in the chat box. If you think that anything has ever gone wrong with the classroom, you may type oops in the chat box, because we call them disruptions. You can actually turn these disruptions into life skills. So, this is what the objective of the webinar is all about. We plan lessons carefully, but classrooms don't always follow the same lesson plans that we plan. And that's the reason we always say the teachers should always have a plan B. So, what are we going to take away today? To recognize life skills in daily moments, to shift from discipline to development. I agree, being disciplined is also very important, but developing a child's personality is equally important. To understand the power of teacher responses, we will be very confident about the teacher response that we make in front of the students and how it helps them. And yes, definitely, we will leave confident about the impact we put on the teachers. Now, there are certain issues, I'm going to put some issues on the screen. And again, I'm going to ask you, have you ever faced these issues when you're managing a classroom? So these are very common issues. You may have a look at it. There are around 9 issues, 9 problems over here. You may take around 1 minute to read this. And again, you can tell us if any student comes late. So if you faced any issues, you can simply number the issues that you have faced. You can write it in the chat box. So these are certain issues which we face from the student's point of view. The student comes late, or if there's a wrong answer been given, there is an argument between group, you assign them a task and then there is some conflict. And as usual, the student doesn't do any homework. If you ask any question to a child, he feels very shy. The class becomes noisy. The plans don't work. You've made a lesson plan, but it doesn't go as per the plan. There is a child who is always back answering, or if a child feels just upset. If we have faced these issues, I'm sure we must have faced these issues. I have definitely faced these issues. At least five, I may say, at least 5 issues have been personally, like, every now and then I face these issues. The students come late. That's the most common problem we face when you are taking a class, when you start with a class, and there is always one student who always turns up. He's always late. If a student comes late, we have to teach them accountability. It's not about punishment. It's never about punishment. It doesn't make any sense to punish a child. See, if it's habitual, then definitely the child has to be spoken personally. But when a student comes late once in a while, it's not just about punishment. It's not about punishing him, but it's a chance to teach them to take responsibility for their actions. If a student gives wrong answer, it's up to us if we want to build a confidence, if we want to lose the confidence, and if we want to build the confidence in that child, right? Because here we are not correcting a mistake. So when a wrong answer is given, we are not correcting a mistake. We are building confidence in that child. Our reaction decides whether they will try again, or they will remain silent, or they will be a shy child, a shy student forever. It's all in our hands. A child should feel safe in your class. If there is a group work, if there is any conflict, if there is any argument, we have to teach our kids to behave with respect, because when they argue in group, it's a chance to teach respect to them, listening, and how to disagree politely. It's very important to be polite when you speak, especially nowadays. We see a lot of aggression amongst children. So if we treat them with respect, definitely if we are calm, they will respond in a calm manner because they're observing us. Never forget that. If a child doesn't do a homework, we need to explain, we need to teach that child responsibility. When homework is not done, it's a chance we have to teach them honesty, because there might be a possibility that the child says that, oh, like, ma'am, I've done it, but I didn't bring the book. That's always, this thing always happens in my class. When I ask about the homework, the child says that, ma'am, I didn't bring the notebook. And I always say them, that if you've not bought the book, this means that you've not done the homework. Okay. I consider is that not done. So here in this case, we have to teach them honesty. We have to teach them the importance of taking efforts and responsibility. When a child feels very shy, This means that he's not very emotionally safe, So here, our role as a teacher is to make them feel emotionally safe. Because again, a safe classroom slowly turns shy children into confident ones. If the class becomes noisy, we have to teach them self regulation. When the class is noisy, we don't just quiet them, right? We teach them how to control themselves. When the plan doesn't work, we need to teach them adaptability. So we are teaching them these life skills: accountability, confidence, responsibility. These things are nothing but life skills, and you do not need an extra lecture. You do not need an extra period for that. Your behavior will ultimately teach that child life skills. If the plan doesn't work, you need the life skill that you can teach them is adaptability, because when a plan fails, we show children how to adjust, try again, and do not keep up. So if I've prepared a very good lesson and the projector is not working, and imagine if I behave in a very impatient manner. Oh my god, now what do I do? The classroom, how do I behave, how do I respond? The kids are looking at me, my plan is not working. And if I show that anxiety, and if I show that nervousness to my kids, if there is any problem which has been faced by the kids, they will also behave, they will also react in such a manner. But if I go very calm, composed, and relaxed, I say, okay, it happens. Let's do something else. If I just adapt to something else, if that projector is not working, or if I forgot, I did not bring the duster or the chalk to my classroom, so I have to teach them adaptability. I can tell them, let's try something else, let's try something new. So this is how you're dealing them with calm, how you're answering them with calm. Back answering. Nowadays, I'm sure we must have come across this many a times, wherein a child, he back answers. Over here, the life skill that we teach them, or we should teach them, is self-control and to be respectful. Because when a child back answers, we teach them how to control emotions. We need to show them how to control emotions and how to speak respectfully. And last, when a child feels unsafe, or he feels very upset, we have to empathize with that child, we need to talk to that child, we need to show some sort of understanding. Because here, this will build empathy. This will build empathy in that child. The child will be very soft, and the child will feel that, yes, I belong. There's someone whom I can confide to, whom I can share my feelings. So, yes, many a times we have to go out of the box to be that really good teacher. Always remember, it's not always about being a perfect teacher. In fact, I would say that you do not even need to be a perfect teacher. Do not be a perfect teacher, but yes, be a more aware teacher. Because a more aware teacher will be more connected to the classroom. We should be aware of what we are speaking, how we are speaking, how do we react, how do we react under any unfavorable answer, any unfavorable condition, any unfavorable circumstance. So it's all about being a more aware teacher rather than being a very perfect teacher. So always focus on being a more aware teacher, because awareness is the first step. If you want to bring change, you have to be aware. Okay, there are many teachers, they think that, oh, we do not have time to teach life skills. How do we teach life skills? We like, if there is a math teacher, or if there is an English teacher, a science teacher will always say that, when do we teach it, when do we teach life skills? We do not have time for that. But actually, the way you react, the way you respond in the classroom, you are already teaching your kids life skills. The way you respond is very important. Because here, in this case, we didn't add any lesson. We did not add any lesson, but what's important here is to change the perspective. To change the perspective from the student's point of view is very important. Because a teacher, I always tell my kids, or my students in my home also, I just share this with them. There are two types of teachers. One, there are teachers by chance. They have just become teacher because they did not have any opportunity, they did not have any option, so they were like, okay, kuch nahi hai to chalo teacher ban jate hain. This is teacher by chance. And then there is teacher by choice, that right from the beginning you have that focus, you have that vision in your mind that yes, I want to become a teacher, and I want to become a teacher by choice. So definitely, if you are a teacher by choice, you will resonate and you will definitely agree with me that these life skills that we are discussing about and we are talking about is very, very, very important. We need to change our perspective. In fact, when I was preparing for this webinar, when I was making these slides, I've learned so many things. I've changed my perspective towards learning at my home. It's not about like, teachers teaching in the classroom. Even mothers are really good teachers. So mothers can also implement all these things in their day-to-day life. If you're a teacher and you're a mother, so definitely this session is going to be a bonus for you. Now, we were just talking about life skills theoretically. In theory, how do we do? What is accountability? What do you mean by empathy? What is accountability? What is adaptability? Now, let us take these life skills into your real life scenario. And this is the invisible syllabus that we are going to talk about. Okay. So, I'm going to discuss a few real classroom scenario, a few real classroom scenes that again you might be like facing in your day-to-day life. Let us come across the first situation over here. Imagine it's a test day. A student walks in and then he suddenly realized that, oh, I forgot to get my notebook. Now, just think from a student's perspective. Think what a student might be feeling at that time. Imagine it's his exam day and he forgot to bring the notebook. Imagine the stress and anxiety he must be feeling in his mind. He a turmoil of thoughts in his mind. Now what do I do? And now imagine as a teacher. So first you'll do two things. First, you will think from a student's perspective, and second, from a teacher's perspective. How should a teacher, how should a teacher should respond in such a scenario, in such a case wherein, he's just forgotten the notebook? Just think about it. So there is panic. The child is almost on the verge of crying. He's almost into tears. And on top of that, to add embarrassment, everybody is watching him. So, as a teacher, what do you think is our job? What are we supposed to do? That's very important. Here, it's important we tell the students, okay, breathe in, think, and react. Just relax. We are teaching them problem solving over here. We are teaching them problem solving for life. Because here, if a teacher shouts, why you didn't bring the textbook? Why you didn't bring the notebook? How will he be able to solve problem ahead in his life? Instead, we can tell them, let's solve this together. I know you didn't get it. Let's try to find an alternative. It's fine. Just try to find an alternative. So here, as a teacher, our job is to teach them problem solving for life. Now, the second situation. Imagine a student gives a wrong answer and the other student, or the whole class is laughing over there. Student giving a wrong answer and then the whole class is laughing. The room goes quiet. Imagine, now again, imagine from a student's perspective how the student might be feeling, what what he must be feeling, what he must be going through. And then as a teacher, now you think from a teacher's perspective. From a teacher's perspective, how do you think I'm supposed to react as a teacher? Because here again, the way we react is going to teach them, we're going to teach them that life skill. So you have to be very important about his confidence. So before confidence or before communication or even before learning, the children must learn how to be human with each other. Here, the life skill that is hiding is empathy. We need to teach them empathy. It's okay, it happens. We need to, rather than addressing that student who, gave a wrong answer, we should calmly and politely address the other students that to feel their pain is very important, to understand their feeling is very important. It's very important to be human with them. If this situation has happened with this child, it can also happen with you. So here, teaching empathy is very important. It's a very important life skill. Now, if you look at the third situation, your lesson, this is from a teacher's perspective, okay? Your lesson is perfect. The slides are all ready. Your activities are perfectly planned. And now the projector refuses to cooperate. What do you think the students are going to learn today? What do you think from a student's perspective? Yeah, there might be some students who are giggling, and some might be with you. They'll help you that, ma'am, can we help you? Because the projector is not working over here. Now, what are we supposed to do as a teacher? As a teacher, we are supposed to remain calm, because staying calm in a stressful moment is very important. The student, if you remain calm, the student is also going to be very calm. It's again a very important life skill, because if you're not adaptable as a teacher, if I am not adaptable, how can my students, how can my learners be adaptable, right? So students never learn adaptability from instructions. They learn it by observing us. They learn it by watching us, because our reaction becomes their lesson. Let's talk about the other life skill, the other situation. You are taking a class, you're teaching, and there is one child who's interrupting repeatedly. He's not letting you speak, he's not letting you talk. The moment you talk, the child is interrupting. Again, this is a very problematic situation for the teacher. But here, if I just shout, if I give it back to the child that, why are you interrupting? Why are you asking so many questions? That child will be maybe shattered, or probably he may lose his confidence. That's one thing. But if the child is just asking you irrelevant question, which is not even related, so here what's important as a teacher is to have self-control. You have to learn to wait and manage your impulses. I know this is very difficult. It's very difficult to be patient at times, because time is flying. You have time. You have just 40 to 50 minutes of that class. And on top of that, you have a child who's continuously interrupting. So it's important to be patient, to have self control and communication. We have to teach them, we have to make them understand when are you supposed to speak and how are you supposed to speak. So you need to teach them communication, and like I said earlier, patience. You need to teach them, you have to deal with them with utmost patience, to realize that yes, you will get a chance. Emotional regulation is also very important, because imagine if I just, like you know be very angry, if I shout at that child, imagine his emotional state of mind. So you need to be very calm, and we have to tell them that yes, please wait, you will definitely get some chance. The next situation, a child is refusing to participate. Probably, the child is very shy, or he doesn't want to participate, maybe he's just disinterested. In that case, you need to teach them confidence. Very important, because we are the ones who are building our learners' future, And if at all you just shatter their confidence right in the beginning, how will he have confidence when he's outside the school, when he's left the school already? So, yes, confidence is very important. You need to teach them emotional awareness. You need to understand it's fine to speak, it's fine to speak out, understand the fear. You will not be embarrassed. You don't need to resist yourself, please do not be embarrassed. You need to teach them resilience. You need to teach them to take small risks. Very important. I always tell my kids, the best way to fight your fear is face your fear. Always face your fear eye to eye, and then the fear will just vanish. You have to teach your kids self belief, that yes, I am allowed to try. It's no harm, it's fine. It's fine even if I try. Even if I try, if there is a failure, there is no problem. There should be no fear of failure. At least try. If a child says, "No, ma'am, I cannot do it. I do not know this," always respond by saying that I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen to this. That I don't want to do it, or I do not know this. At least try, instead of writing anything, like, just keeping the page blank or just leaving anything blank. It's better to try. It's fine if it is wrong. If you do not try, as it is, you're going to get a zero. But then, even if you try, maybe there will be some scope, some probability that what you're writing or what you're, like, explaining is going to work. So here, the classroom moments and the teacher response. So here, if a student panics before a test, what point, like, what do you think we should be, uh, what should be the teacher response here? If a student panics before a test, what should it be? Respectful correction, calm reassurance, staying calm and flexible, active listening, or you have to be very firm, but you have to respond them with kindness. So it should be, yes, it should be calm reassurance, Wrong answer given. If a student gives wrong answer, what are you going to do with them? Will you be calm? Will you be flexible? Will you listen? Or you're going to just correct them respectfully? So that respectful correction, if a wrong answer is given, you're going to correct them respectfully. If a lesson plan does not work, what are we going to do? We are going to be very calm. We're going to stay calm and flexible. This is the life skill that we are teaching them. The kids are learning that life skill in a disciplined situation. So if a child is very indisciplined or if there is any problem, you have to be firm, but the response has to be very kind. Be firm. Being firm and being kind are two different things. You learn to be very firm. If the student feels unheard, so here we have to actively listen to the child. The student feels unheard, you make sure you take a step ahead and make sure that you give that confidence to the child that, yes, child, I am here and I am listening to you. This is a question you need to ask yourself, that does your classroom feel safe or scary? The answer, after, like, whatever we discussed, whatever I said, I delivered to you all, you ask a question to yourself. Does your classroom feel safe or is it scary? Are the kids scared of you, or do they feel safe when they are with you? Because children only think freely when we know that they won't be mocked, they won't be made fun of, like, you cannot make fun of the kids, you cannot shatter their confidence. So this is a very important question you need to ponder upon, you need to think about in detail. So always remember one thing, that when a child struggles, when he's just struggling, they are learning, we're teaching them problem solving. If a child struggles and he wants to give up, you have to boost their confidence. You need to tell them, come on, child, keep trying, This problem solving, very important in your day-to-day lives. Even if you close the textbook, you may come across in your day-to-day lives, we come across so many problems. So you cannot just run away from those problems. Like I said earlier, the best way to solve a problem is to face that problem, not to run away from it. When a child is corrected kindly, they learn respect. We need to teach them respect. Very important nowadays. When plans fail, and then we stay calm. When the lesson plan fail and you stay very calm, they're learning adaptability. We are teaching them by ourselves being flexible. We are teaching them adaptability. So yes, these are the life skills which are very important, and whenever you enter the classroom, always remember to keep these skills, to keep the situations that we discussed in your mind. This is a silent reflection. You can complete this mentally, you can complete this in your mind, that I will be more what when you're teaching. So if you ask me, I will be more, say, I'll be very calm when I'm teaching. I will be empathetic when I'm teaching. I will be patient. Very important. I'll be patient. I'll be a very aware teacher. You remember, I told you it's not about being a perfect teacher, it's about being an aware teacher. Okay. I will reduce what in my classroom. So, if I'm a teacher, from a teacher's perspective, I will reduce pressure, like undue pressure. I will try, I'll tell my child not to be under pressure. I will reduce comparison, negative talk, shouting, overcorrection, just keep on telling them if a child makes a mistake, no, you are wrong. So I will just stop this negative talk. This is the reflection as a teacher I would follow and I would do. One small action I will start from tomorrow is maybe, like, I can just start with greeting my students warmly. I be very positive with them, I speak to them very calmly. And if there is something which is happening and it's not in my favor, I do not like I told you, if there is a child who's being disrespectful in the class, I will pause before I respond. I will not be a very impulsive teacher. So yes, I won't be a very impulsive teacher. I will start, I will definitely, this is the action that I will carry forward immediately. I would say that I won't be an impulsive teacher. One way I can build confidence in students is maybe, praising their efforts. If they've done anything, any effort, even tiny effort, tiny small efforts that they have done, I'm going to praise their efforts. This goes very well with small kids. If you're a teacher teaching grade 1 or kindergarten kids or nursery kids, praising their small efforts, very important. You can just give them a star, or just an applaud. You can just tell the whole class to applaud for their efforts. So this plays a lot of, imagine the child's, the child is going to be, he'll feel so confident about it. Then it's okay to make mistakes. If a child has made mistake, it's fine. It's completely okay to make mistakes. Then, using very kind language with my kids and using a very encouraging voice. Imagine if I'm a teacher and if I go with a very monotone, a very monotonous teacher who's just speaking continuously, speaking. So that also is not very much liked by the students. So you have to be very encouraging. Your voice should carry that encouragement. Very important. When I feel stressed, I will rather try to pause and breathe. So just take a pause, just breathe, just relax. Everything will be fine. I can smile. So when you're feeling stressful, maybe you can just smile. You can remind, as a teacher, we are learners. A very good teacher is a very good learner. A very good teacher will never say that, oh, I know everything. I know this, I know that, because there is always a scope of improvement. So a good teacher is always going to be a very good learner. The life skill I most want my students to gain is, that's a very important question. The life skill, this is a very good reflection, in fact. The life skill that I want, that the most that my students to gain is confidence. Me as a teacher, I would love to raise a confident child. A confident child will be a successful child, a communicative child. A child who's very good with his communication skills will surely do good. When he goes and when he faces the world, he is going to be really, maybe successful. Self control, very important. Anything goes wrong, or if you see anything which doesn't, it's not as per your requirement, so I will teach my child the life skill. The life skill that I'll teach my child is going to be self control, to have responsibility, to have adaptability, self regulation. Empathy is very important these days. So, these are the life skills which I would definitely want my students to gain. Do not take life skills as an extra subject, because life skills are definitely not an extra subject. They are invisible lessons of every classrooms. So yes, these are the invisible lessons which we are teaching them as a good teacher. Remember, we have to be a very aware teacher. Life skills are that important that it will boost you professionally, it will boost you academically. These life skills are going to help you socially, the social skills outside. Again, when you step out of the, out of your school, when you enter into the real world, you have to be very social, and these life skills will definitely help you to be socially demanding, socially accepted. That's very important. So you have to think, you have to ponder one one small change from tomorrow. What I'll do, I'll listen. I will listen more patiently. I will give a clearer feedback. The error correction is a very important part of learning, but how you do the error correction is very important. So, yes, if you're giving feedback, if you're correcting the errors, how you're correcting the errors, please think about it. I will show calm under pressure. Again, we will remember the projector not working and how am I responding in the class, how I'm going to be calm under pressure. So mentally choose one, maybe like, small differences, like, the small changes that you do will definitely make a lot of difference in your classroom. You can mentally choose one. So, yes, I'm sure you all are very caring teachers. You're really good teachers. So thank you for being a caring teacher. And yes, growing life skills, it's very important to grow life skills. One small moment at a time will make a lot of difference. Thank you so much. If there's anything you would like to ask, if there's anything, you can ask me. So I'll just stop sharing. Yeah. So, yeah, we are done here.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your sessions. Let us now conclude to the vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. A heartfelt thank you to all our honorables, to our honorable speaker for sharing such valuable insights and inspiring every educator with practical strategies and wisdom. Your words have truly enriched us all. A special thanks to all the teachers and school leaders who joined us today from across the country and beyond. Your active participation makes these sessions meaningful and impactful. We encourage you to like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube channel, EMAS Teacher Training Academy, to stay connected for our free Thursday webinars every week. Don't forget, participants who attend, comment, and submit feedback will receive their certificate of participation at the end of the month. Also, make sure to follow our WhatsApp channel for regular updates, upcoming topics, and webinar links. Together, let's continue learning, growing, and shaping the future of education. Because when teachers grow, students shine. Thank you once again, and see you all next Thursday, inshallah.